Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Lost Mine Pokemon Trading Card Game Podcast. I am here with my lovely co-host, Landon. How you doing this week?
I am doing excellent, Lucas. Thank you so much for asking. How are you doing, my good
Uh,
friend?
I'm doing good. Excited for this new Wednesday release schedule. I think it'll get better.
Yes, absolutely. I think it'll be much easier for our lovely viewers to, or listeners to listen. It's a bit more of a convenient day, I think.
Yeah, I agree. And yeah, so I went to a few cups this weekend, and I think the first cup I didn't do very well. Well, I
Mhm.
came second, and my only two losses were to two bad matchups. I hit a Snorlax
Mhm.
stall playing Gardevoir, and
It's not great.
no, it would have been fine, but I started Manaphy, and I decided
Mm.
not to play Turo that weekend because I wanted to play Worker instead because I expected there to be a few path decks, and then I lost to an Iron Valley and Entei a couple rounds
Hmm.
later, and so I'm okay with how that went. I did what I could that tournament, and then the next day I went to a cup. I won that cup. I think
Woo.
I went 3-1-1.
Very good.
And I played Gardevoir again. I played the Brisbane 60 minus the Turo and plus the Worker.
Nice.
Yeah, the 60 felt really good. The 60 felt pretty good. And then I think my only loss in that tournament was to what was my loss to in that tournament? Uh, I actually don't remember. But then there was a challenge after, and then I played in the challenge and I won the challenge. So that was
Let's
pretty
go.
cool.
Same 60, same Gardevoir.
Same Gardevoir 60, yeah.
Nice.
65 points in a day. That was a pretty good day for me.
That's pretty broken, man.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So, yeah. How about you?
Very
How's your
nice.
week?
Just working. No Pokemon cards for me, unfortunately. But I had yesterday and today off, so I've kind of been taking it easy, cleaning up my room, which I haven't quite got fully done yet. But this is the first episode in my home studio, if you want to call it that. So
Yeah.
kind of fun.
This is where we'll probably be recording a lot of the time with Wednesday uploads.
Yeah, because we go to league on Wednesdays, but if we're recording on Tuesdays, it's less likely that I'll be at Lucas's house to record now. Because we used to record Thursdays, and I'd be over Wednesday night, so it usually worked out I was there, but not really anymore. So mostly we'll be in this setting moving forward.
Well, awesome. So I just wanted to say I just wanted to go over what we're gonna do over this episode. So we didn't have any big tournaments over the weekend, so we decided we were gonna do a deep dive of the two decks that we're currently the most interested in.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
yeah, and I think that might be a common theme. That might be a good idea for when there is no regionals that weekend.
Hmm.
Um and next week, sneak peek, we're planning on getting some guests on and having a San Antonio
Yes, yeah,
meta
because
thing.
next week will be the few days before San Antonio, and I think we're going to be having Professor Poke and our good friend Brandon Oviat. He's a friend of the channel, so is James. And they're both some pretty lovely and good players that will be some good sources of insight for metagame discussion next week, I think.
Yeah. So
But yeah, Lucas was right. We're going to be talking about Zard and Mew VMAX. Definitely, I don't know about you, Lucas, but my two favorites coming up for San Antonio in the next couple weeks here.
I agree. My two favorites as well.
And is our list on the screen here? Is that
No, I will segue into it. Whoosh!
Ooh.
Wow. Woo!
So this is both myself and Lucas's 60 we're looking at with Charizard right now.
Yeah.
Um, so for the deep dive, we're going to go over our list, some of the different styles of lists that have done well at the recent regionals, Gdansk and Brisbane, and then go through all the possible like tech cards or card changes you could make.
Yeah. As well as
and
its
then
matchups.
Yeah, and the matchup spread on Limitless. We thought about Trainer Hill, but I'm pretty sure Trainer Hill is like the exact same
Yep.
data. So, yeah, I don't know. Like, this is pretty similar to Robin Schultz's 60. I think one of the biggest changes is I've added the Minior. Not only is it excellent into Snorlax, obviously, especially with the double vacuum and the triple Lost City. You're actually, I would say, pretty favored into Snorlax with the one card tech, but it's also very good into Gardevoir. I think I mentioned that last week a little bit, but the Minior for one energy can knock out the Arcana Gardevoir, also Lost Zoning it if you have Lost City in play.
When they attack you with the reversal energy combos.
Yeah, because they have to load up, what, at least 5, right?
Yeah. No, I
I
don't
think they
so.
have to do. I think they have to do 6.
Yeah, you have to do 6.
Yeah, 270. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah,
Yeah.
two. it's exactly 330 with
Yeah,
6.
exactly.
So yeah, the Minior is able to come up, gravitational tackle, and knock them out. So could heat tackle, but sometimes they do only have the 5 energy because they can knock out the Pidgeot with only 5. So
Yeah,
yeah,
Minior is very,
gravitational
very
tackle
strong.
can come up into Gardevoir quite a bit, as well as you've got the Avery here. Notably, I'm not playing the Defiance Band. That was in Philip's list. I think Vitality Band just kind of
You
does
said
all the
Phillip,
roles.
man.
Did I?
Yeah.
I
Yeesh,
thought it was
man.
Philip.
Nah, it's
Robin.
Robin.
Oh, there's twins. I always get them mixed up. My bad. Robin was playing Defiance Band, which I don't think I'm like the hugest fan of.
Yeah.
Just because the Vitality Band pushes you from 210 to 220 and then 270 to 280.
Yeah, so Vitality Band hits the numbers no matter the situation.
Yeah, and Defiance Band, like, I'm just trying to think of what numbers it would push you to. Like, it would push you from 210 to 240, maybe into Iron Hands or something along those lines.
But if they're using
like,
Iron Hands, they're
Roaring
already
Moon.
going down enough prizes to be able to one-shot it.
Yeah, like, I think the only things I can really think it'd be good into would be, like, Roaring Moon or, like, an Entei-V.
And that matchup's still already very good.
Yeah, like, Roaring Moon matchup is not that hard. I think it's favored. We'll look at the matchup data later, but yeah, Zard. I think the problem I've had with Zard, like, in the past couple of weeks, is that the Gardevoir matchup just was atrocious. Like, we'll see Vengeful Punch on a later slide, but that was the, like, old tech card for the matchup. But Lost City is actually effective in making the Gardevoir matchup favorable now. You're just able to Lost Zone all their Pokemon, right?
Yeah, no, it's very, very strong. And the Minior just adds, like, a second thing where you're able to also, not even with a one, you're not only taking a prize while forcing them to go down a prize so, like, it's, like, equal in tempo. You're also forcing them to go down to one card with Iono later on in the game. And Gardevoir typically runs out of, like, Curlios and Gardevoirs on the board by the very late stage. And when you play Lost City, that's amplified because the things that you KO are just gone.
Yeah, and then I guess talking about, like, Iono to the 1, we're only playing 2 Iono and 1 Avery. Robin, right? I got that right that time. Robin was playing this supporter split. I kind of like the Avery. It's going to be disruptive into some of your, like Chen Pao is not a great matchup. Not that that deck's very good, but Avery is good into that matchup for sure. Avery can be good into Gardevoir as well, so a little extra help there. And Avery, it's very good into Mew as well if you need, I don't think you really need that much of an edge in that matchup, but it just has a lot of, like, utility. We see it in Gardevoir, we see it in Mew VMAX sometimes. Avery's just kind of a good utility card right now. And drawing 3 is nice when you're trying to build a hand.
Yeah. I like that the format has developed into a lot of decks playing Avery. It's a very strong card, especially within this meta, because so many decks are like stage 2 decks with a barrel engine that just end up filling their bench.
Yeah, there's a lot of setup right now, and Avery really helps disrupt those things.
Yeah. Avery Countercatcher is insane.
Yeah, it's a really disruptive combination, especially with the Lost City. You can start, like, lost zoning specific things that they might want to get back.
Yeah.
Like this Pidgeot Charizard list has been doing very well. It's been performing a lot, but I guess we could look. Unless you have more things to say other than, I guess Rotom is something to talk about too before we...
Not really. Rotom's been seen...
It's a new development.
Yeah, it's a new
development. Just this week.
New development, and a lot of people have been picking it up. It's just kind of like Pidgeot, but it has utility throughout the entire game.
Yeah, obviously you can't, like, shuffle it back in and get rid of the 2 prize liability, but it just, like, helps you build the combo for turn 2 to get all the rare candies off.
Yeah.
An extra 3 cards, like, every game, turn 1, is pretty nice. And then it, like, guarantees you're going to have the Forest Seal V in play, because you want it in play proactively to use Instant Charge as well. Yeah. So, yeah. Other than that, I think the double lock vacuum kind of sticks out, but yeah, there's a couple other lists we don't want to talk about. There's other Charizard options.
Sorry, I didn't mean to rush you there. I thought you were segueing into that already.
Yeah, okay. A little bit, but that's okay.
So this is Thomas Jones. Oh, wait, this got cut out. My bad. I am fixing that. No, it's fine. It's fine. I will.
I think it's good. I think it's good.
Okay, it's fine. So this is Thomas Jones' 6th place list from Gdansk. This list is the TM Zard, and it does feature the Delphox.
Yeah, so, like, TM Zard was, like, right when the new set came out, I think everyone was kind of thinking TM Zard would be the preferred version.
Yeah.
And then we saw the 2 Pidgeot builds in top 16 of LAIC, and then kind of moving after LAIC, we just kind of saw the Pidgeot version be a bit more popular. Pidgeot doesn't get boss KO'd as easily as Bibarel, and it's, like, really nice to be able to search this, like, specific card you need, like the boss for the turn or the Lost City you need that turn.
Yeah.
It's very good at... Oops, something fell. Very good at picking out the specific things, but Bibarel is...
Sorry. And
Go ahead.
Charizard doesn't really need to build a hand. That's the thing.
Yeah.
Charizard can kind of rely on just like a very few amount of cards in the
It's
hand.
very easy just to like go Candy Zard. It sets itself up. You have the Pidgeot to find the boss or this one supporter you need that turn, and then every turn moving forward.
You're just doing
Usually, you
that.
only need one key card for the most part, and
Yeah.
Pidgeot can just kind of pick that out. Plus, it really helps you develop more rare candies in the future because you can specifically search out the candy or the Pokemon or whatever you need.
Yeah, whenever you have a free turn, Pidgeot's just kind of like a very, very insanely good development card.
Yeah, but the flip side of Bibrel is you're a lot less reliant on Path to the Peak, or
Reliable.
bumping path. Yeah, because the Pidgeot is a two-prizer and the Bibrel is not affected by path. And then the Bibrel lets you present one prize board states a lot more often, especially with like the Radiant Charizard. I know we didn't have Radzard in our list earlier.
That's also a
think
conversation thing. We'll talk about
Yeah.
that more in the future, though.
Yeah, like I don't think Radzard is necessary, but it's definitely not a bad card.
Yeah.
But I do like the prospect of just having a full one prize board with the Bibrel version. That just doesn't really happen because Pidgeot's always going to be on their board. But
Yeah.
and then the TM makes you a little bit less weak to like anything playing Devo TM. I don't know. I think the TM version is just a little slower, and Pidgeot is just really good right now. I don't know.
Yeah, I would agree. I think the TM version is also super reliant on going second. Like, if you go first
Yeah.
with the deck, your deck just feels, like, actually terrible.
Well, no, we're not seeing Mew in here. Like the Celebrations Mew definitely helps with going first because you can be more able to hit VIP passes. But this list not doing it is definitely going to be weak going first because if you don't hit one of your 4 VIPs just in your opening hand, then you don't really have a setup.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, this deck is very reliant on going second, and I prefer the lists where you can kind of go first or second, and that's kind of
Yeah.
Arvinzard right now.
I don't like the one Locity either. I talked about this last episode. Triple Locity is a must for me, I think, if I want to be playing Charizard, because without Triple Locity, your Gardevoir matchup is just so much worse.
Atrocious. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we are seeing. Oh, by the way, I forgot to mention in the previous list, our cameras were cutting out 4 Ultra Ball, 2 Level Ball, 3 Velocity, and 8 Fire Energies. And in this
Yeah.
list, my camera is just cutting out a Vitality Band and the 1 Velocity. This list
Yeah.
does choose to play the Defiance Band over the just Vitality Band. I think we've
Yeah.
explained that a bit. But I would think Defiance Band would be a better spot being a Lost City. I think you could very easily add triple Lost City to this deck.
Yeah, I don't see why you couldn't. I just think the TM Zard is like a little bit slower. You don't really struggle to set up Zards with the Pidgeot version.
Yeah, it's not as big of a consistency issue as it was last format with the Arvinzard. Like Arvinzard was always fine last format, but it wasn't ever like best deck in the format potential. But this deck,
No.
this format, we've kind of seen the innovations of Rotom to be able to build a hand to be able to hit the combos, and your triple Lost City, which we didn't see last format. And I think if we had that last
We did
format,
see Lost City like
a bit.
in Charizard lists before. I think it just kind of fell off for whatever reason. I don't really know why. I never really thought about playing Zard as much as I did now, but
Very strong. I think that I like that. Okay, I forgot to mention in the last 60, we were still playing the Ember Charizard and the Ember Charmander that does 40. Sorry, I will quickly. I noticed I am on online in my Discord. I'm going to quickly change that so you guys do not hear badings the entire time. Okay. My bad. We are back. Okay, so last time, in the previous 60, we were playing the Ember Charmander, which was 40 damage for 2 energy. And I don't know if that's needed with the
no,
Minior.
I'm playing. I actually, now that you say that, yeah, I'm playing double Heat Tackle, double Blazing Destruction.
Yeah, I think that the Minior fixes the need for a 40 damage Charmander.
Yeah, I
in certain
agree.
situations.
That's a small change you can
Very
make,
small
but-
change, but it's min-maxing, stuff like that. We love min-maxing here in this podcast. Min-maxing
love
is one of our
min-maxing.
favorite things.
Yeah, so I think we can move on to the next list,
Yeah.
probably.
Yeah, we can. Oh, wait, sorry, wrong. Okay, boom. Wow, smooth segment.
This Hayden Matthews in Brisbane, I really like this list. I really like the Cramorant and the Colruses. Hayden's not playing Arvin, which is interesting.
And Hayden's
for sure.
also not playing TM.
Yeah, so he's playing Bibarel Zard without TMs, which is something we haven't really seen much before. We kind of assumed that TM would be involved when Bibarel was in the list, but Obviously, Hayden's shown you don't have to do it that way. He's just kind of building a hand with Colress's here, and then he's got triple loss vacuum to power out the spit instantly as an extra one prize attacker. But the really nice thing about this list is it's really able to present that one prize board state because you're able to push them through Cram and Radiant Charizard. So you can always make them go through the 2 one prizers, which can be interesting if they have taken like a Charmander out on turn 1 or 2 or something. No V's in here for Forest Seal Stone also makes that a little easier.
Yeah. So I like the Cram because it is that one prize option. It's also a first turn, like a second turn attacker.
Yeah, you can attack going second with this, like pretty, not easily, but not that hard to do.
Yeah. Oh wait, yeah, I forgot about vacuum.
Yeah. Chorus.
Yeah, it's a first turn attacker. It has first turn attacker potential, which is kind of cool in the Charizard list because that's something that we've never really been able to do. A couple interesting things here is we have I think Radiant Zard isn't really an interesting thing to talk about because with this kind of 60, you are able to justify playing double one prizer because that's
Radiant Zard is seems incredible in this list specifically in combination with the Cramorant.
Yes.
I haven't played this. Maybe you don't really use Radiant Zard as much if you have the spit innocently just as a one prize attacker there. But also with this list, I think the 2 Vengeful Punch and the Artisan could so easily become 3 Lost City.
Yeah. There's also
Vengeful Punch does nothing in negative 4.
Oh yeah. There's also There's also not Lost City. There's also no Vitality Band in this deck, which I am not sure.
Yeah, well, they're not playing Arven, so they can't search it at all. It's not the same.
True. Okay. True.
Yeah.
My bad. I think
that's okay.
Yeah. No, the 60 is very good. I like the 60, but I am a bit confused on why we aren't playing, the Tripolosity, the Minior, and the Heat Tackle Charmander.
Yeah, I know Heat Tackle is interesting. I'd like the 2-1-1 split here. Maybe even just the 3-1 of Blazing Destruction plus the Ember, because you have the Cramorant as your one prize attacker, right?
Oh, yeah, maybe. Oh, okay, that's a good point. Yeah, I think I haven't really looked at this 60 much. I've been practicing my own 60, but...
I'd be really curious how to fit the Cramorant potentially, into a Pidgeot, because I really like the idea of Cramorant. Like, I don't know, we don't have Haru's list in this presentation, but Haru was playing an amount of Colress without Arven in, like, the traditional Arven-Zard with the Pidgeot. So maybe that's some way to fit the Cramorant into Pidgeot, but not doing that yet. And I don't think it's fully necessary, but it's just something I've been thinking about.
Yeah, it'd be nice. It would be very nice.
But yeah, maybe we can move on to the tech section. Because this is more so what I wanted to talk about a lot of. These are some of the common cards we see that we didn't have in our list. Zard is really like a pretty tight, like 60, but there's a lot of room to like change small things to really affect different matchups, which I really do like about the deck.
Yeah.
Like playing Triple Lost City completely flips the Gardevoir matchup.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Totally flips it.
Yes, and exactly. We have split the techs into trainers and Pokemon.
Yeah. So the next slide's Pokemon.
Next slide is
we'll
Pokemon.
talk about that after. But
yeah.
With our list, I have Nest Ball on here. Maybe that's like an interesting one to mention. We saw Robin doing this. He cut the Radiant Zard and then cut the 2 Nest Ball that are usually in list for 2 Level Ball, and then plays the 90 HP Charmeleon. I really like having the extra search for getting Charmeleon developed mid-game, because it feels like so much easier to establish your next Charizard if you can go Rare Candy plus evolve to Charmeleon in the same turn.
Yes.
Which is really nice.
That is very nice. You're able to establish a better board pretty easily.
Yeah,
and it's not that much of a difference.
No, I think it's just better than Nest Ball, because without the Radiant Charizard, the only thing you could Nest Ball for would be Rotom and Lumineon. Obviously, you're not going to Nest Ball for Lumineon, but Rotom being a trade-off for Charmeleon, I think is totally okay, because you're trying to VIP turn 1 anyways. So
yes, I think it's worth it for sure. Just it's allowing you to be able to put out 3 Charizards in a game, which is something that a lot of decks were having struggles with before the Level Ball Charmeleon things were happening. A lot of people would be like, okay, my Charizard opponent just surely cannot get 3 Charizards out this game.
Yeah, because like a lot of the time, like I felt like I needed to Arven to get Ultra Ball to get Charmeleon sometimes, and just being able to not discard 2 cards and play the Level Ball again is min-maxing for sure. But I think it definitely makes the deck run a little bit smoother than playing Nest Balls.
So yeah, I would like to talk about the tools that are on this list. Justified gloves, I do not think is very needed.
I kind of disagree. I think because Charizard is seeing a lot of hype, plus it incidentally helps against Roaring Moon. Your mirror match, if you're playing Justified gloves, is so favored.
Oh wait.
So favored because you two shot the first Zard, you can boss a V or a Pidgeot, and then you basically always win because you're both at 2-2 a lot of the time,
And then you
just
justify
330
gloves.
through the Zard. Yeah.
Wait, that's so sick.
I don't think it's that bad. I actually I'm gonna totally try it and heavily consider it for San Antonio because if Charizard is gonna end up being the most popular, or it's been top 3 like the whole format since Paradox came out. I don't think it's really that outlandish to play Justified gloves. We've seen like Mew VMAX. I've played Cleansing gloves, won a regional with Cleansing gloves, so I am not super opposed to playing a different glove type if it's gonna be good.
Yo, wait, that's true, and it also fixes, and it also really helps your Roaring Moon matchup.
Yeah, because you can go 240 off of the. So yeah, I don't think Justified gloves is something you should be sleeping on, especially if you're.
I was caught lacking.
Yeah, come on, Lucas. You gotta think about the Justified gloves more. I don't think it's that much of a joke, but that's all I can really say.
That's definitely something. Okay, I am on it. I'm going to try this. That is a very good card. Everyone, try that. Don't be like me. Okay, so
I've talked about Defiance Band earlier. I don't think Defiance Band is super awesome. I'd play gloves over Defiance Band right now.
Yeah, it's a Vitality Band just kind of hits all the numbers that Defiance Band is aiming to hit.
Yeah, 220 from 210 and 270 from 280. Defiance Band pushes you to 300, to 270, to 240. Yeah, I don't think it really does much.
Yeah, Vitality Band hits everything you really need to do. The Vengeful Punch. Landon has a lot to say about Vengeful Punch.
I do. I think Vengeful Punch is actually terrible. I think the card is so not good in your Charizard decks. It's just worse than Lost City as a Gardevoir counter. Guardy will always have the Lost Vacuum if you're only playing one punch. So one punch is complete a dead card. Two Vengeful Punch, like we saw in the previous list, can maybe come up because you can punch 2 separate Zards, but they're able to just work around it. They can boss around it super easy. They can counter troops around it super easy. They have the vacuum to get through it once. It's just like, it never works out. I swear. Don't try. Lost City just does it better.
Yeah.
Just Lost City makes the Gardevoir matchup actually favored, and Vengeful Punch just actually doesn't affect it at all. It's so minimal.
Okay. Yeah, I agree. I think that Vengeful, like you said, they play Lost Vacuum.
Yeah.
They're going to be able to get around it once.
It can fix some other matchups too, but the obvious reason you're playing it is for the Gardevoir matchup, and it's just not as good as Lost City as a tech.
Yeah,
that's all I have to say about it.
And I think if you're playing Techs and Charizard, they kind of have to be for Gardevoir. And if you're not playing a very effective Gardevoir tech,
most of your other matchups are fine. It's like Gardevoir was traditionally like your worst matchup, so bad. But yeah, not anymore.
So, I would like to talk about the Professor Turos, because Professor Turo is a very strong card. It lets you have 660 HP with one Charizard, pretty much.
I guess technically, yeah, you're presenting that much, yeah.
Yeah, and it would be good in Pidgeot builds, but the thing is, it's much harder to pull off with these Arven builds because then you have to candy into them. But
yeah, it's a lot easier to pull off in the TM Evo builds. I know Professor Poke. We'll probably talk about it next week, but he's playing double Turo in his Evo Zard list right now. So
yeah, he's been on. Professor Poke has been on it for the entire format. He's been on Evo Zard and double Turo.
Yeah, so. I mean, I don't deny that deck is strong, but I just like Pidgeot a bit more right now. And Turo, I like the idea. I don't think I would fault anybody for playing it in any variant of Zard, but it's almost felt just a bit win more. Like, if your Zard is tanking, it's usually taking multiple knockouts. And then the only reason I'd really like it would be to pick up Rotom or Lumineon, but I'd prefer Collapsed, honestly, to Turo for that reason. Because you can search it out so easily with Quick Search or even the Forest Sealstone, and then not have to play the supporter to discard your V. I'm really interested in Collapsed if I can find the spot, but I really don't want to cut the third Lost City. I think having 3 Lost City really secures the Guardian matchup, and as soon as you cut down to 2, it's just such a noticeable difference. Like, the third Lost City is what really digs the grave for them.
Play triple Lost City. That's like pretty much that's what we're trying to get.
The PSA of this portion of the podcast is
play triple Lost City and heavily consider playing Minior.
Yeah. And then I guess TM we talked about already. Escape Rope, just playing another switch option. We're not playing any switch options in our list, but I don't think you really need it. You have enough energies to just attach Retreat or Infernal Rain around.
Yeah. It's a very
And the
luxury card.
Minior is your tech into Snorlax, so you don't really need it that way.
Yeah.
And then we talked about Colress with the Cramorant already.
And I think if you're playing the Colress build or the Cramorant, I think if you're playing any Colress in your deck, you're really only playing it so that you can play Cramorant. And I think that's a very valid reason to play it, for sure. That's a very valid thing to do. But if you're not playing Cramorant, I feel like there's better supporters to play in Charizard 60 than Chorus.
Yeah, so maybe we can move to the next slide with the Pokemon. So we've talked about Cramorant already. We've talked about Radiant Zard. I'm not playing Radiant Zard in my list because I don't think it just really comes up enough. Like, Burning Darkness is taking the KOs that Combustion Blast would at that point in the game. And to put them on the one prize knockout, a lot of the time they will have knocked out like a Pidgey or a Charmander at the beginning of the game, or like against Gardevoir specifically, you can present the Minior as your one prizer. I just wasn't using the Charizard, Radiant Charizard, that much. I don't know about you, your experience, but again, I wouldn't fault you for playing it. But
wait, okay, random thought. The Minior, also, I was thinking about Minior. For Gardevoir, if you attack with Minior into the Gardevoir, if they have to kind of KO, they have a really hard time just like gusting around it because they can't Scream Tail because of the ancient trait Terra thing on the Charizard.
Yeah, you can't Scream Tail a Charizard. You'd have to do the full 360 damage one, but still they could do it.
Okay, sorry, random tangent. Yeah, no, I think Minior is your kind of one price option into Gardevoir, and
that's the only really matchup you needed a lot into. Pidgeot V is interesting.
I played Radiant Zard in my decks early on in the format, and I barely ever used it. So I don't think it's needed.
It seems good, but I just don't think it really comes up much in practice. Pidgeot V and Delphox V are probably the two other curious options about our list. You could replace the Rotom with one of those two. Delphox V, I think, is more of a gimmick. We kind of talked about it last week. As soon as they see it in Game 1, they're just going to play Manaphy down, and that's going to do nothing. And then Pidgeot V, we've seen kind of be more successful prior to this weekend of tournaments, past weekend, because it can get rid of itself. But drawing extra cards with Instant Charge, for my testing and yours, from the sound of things, has kind of outweighed the benefits of Vanishing Wings.
Yeah, I would. It's really nice with the Rotom. It's a very, very strong card, and I think beats the Pidgeot. Because, if they're going to KO your if they're going to KO your Rotom, that just means you still have your max HP Charizard.
Yeah, that's true. Unless they're taking their last two prizes, then usually not softening the Zard, it doesn't really matter. Yeah. And then we talked about Bibarel version already previously, and then Charmeleon, I think the 90 HP one is optimal even if you're not playing Level Ball, because Heat Tackle is good into Snorlax.
Yeah, Mimikyu, it's very, very strong into Mimikyu.
Yeah.
It's a very consistent attacker, and it's also good because it kills itself so that you can go Charizard 210 into Snorlax's Bravery Charms.
Yeah, absolutely. Maybe we can move on to the percentages.
Yeah, let's move on to these percentages. So this is the limitless percentage thing. I will move Landon once we get to the Fusion Mew and Beyond, but we just wanted to talk about the win percentages you have with Charizard and what we think, if we think they're inaccurate or if we think they're perfectly accurate, or if you think that there are different ways to play the matchups that aren't getting enough hype. So, let's start with Roaring Moon.
Roaring Moon's favored.
Yeah,
for sure.
Definitely favored, as they're going to have to Frenzied Gouging you to KO you, and then you respond with a Heat Tackle. Or Minior, play Minior!
Yeah, Minior also can KO Roaring Moon, so that's another thing that comes up.
Wait, is Roaring Moon resistant to fighting? I think it is.
I don't think so. Is it?
Maybe. I mean, it's a flying thing. You'll search that up. So
I'll search it while you're talking.
Yeah, so if they Frenzy Gouging you, you can just kind of respond with with a Charmander and a Lost City. Or a Lost City's not really
resistant to fighting.
Not resistant to fighting. Okay, so you have Minior and Charmander for it. So you're able to force them to take the one prize, which eventually is just going to lead to going Iono to 1 KO. They kind of just die after that, and you end up winning the prize race, I think, anyway, with the 60.
If they Frenzy Gouging, you can also just choose to boss or counter catcher the other Roaring Moon with energy and hit that one.
So true,
And then they have to knock themselves out to KO your next Charizard, and they can't really usually make it through 3 Zards. Especially if we're choosing to play Justified Gloves, that would really help this matchup as well, but don't really have much else to say on the Roaring Moon matchup there.
Yeah, so Charizard. This is definitely 50-50. Don't worry about the 47.11.
Well, obviously, mirror match is gonna be 50-50, Lucas. Come on.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, but it's just 26
And,
ties. It's okay.
yeah, ways to advantage yourself in
Justified
the mirror
gloves.
might be definitely the justified gloves. Turo would also probably be quite good in mirror match.
Yeah.
But yeah, justified gloves, and then Gardevoir looks unfavored on here, but that's because this list has not traditionally played Lost City. I think the matchup's definitely slightly favored with the Lost City. I'm not gonna say it's like automatic win at all or anything stretching it
It's
like
probably
that. But
it's probably like 55 or 60-40.
yeah, I think if we changed all the Charizard lists, it'd probably be like around 52 or something on Limitless, which is a pretty good matchup spread. Tina Lost Box is definitely one of your worst matchups.
Oh yeah, because they have Path of the Peak and they're able to.
They have Path, Roxanne. They have knockouts. That means Jirachi is nice to turn Sableye off, so you have a little bit more advantage that way. But yeah, still you're getting one hit knockouts pretty easily, as well as Path plus Hand Disrupted. So
yeah, that matchup's very tough. So
yeah, Miraidon's pretty nice.
Miraidon's
matchup.
very nice matchup. They have one way to knock you out now, and it's the Raichu, because we saw lists go down to one Raichu after Iron Hands came out, and after you deal with the Raichu, they have to two-shot you, or they have to attack with Iron Hands, and then you should respond with a Iono attack, and then they need literally everything.
If they take a one prize knockout to start the game, you have the Vitality Band and Lost Vacuum to knock out either Raikou or Miraidon. If they try to Iron Hands you, you can just 240 response it. And another nice thing about Minior is a lot of the time I've noticed in my testing, the Miraidon will try to just not take the one prize knockout and then try to two-shot Zards and work some Iron Hands in to take extra prizes. But you can poke them with Minior to make your 180 still knock them out, which is interesting because that Minior will do 40 damage because of Fighting Weakness on like all their little basics. So
yeah,
Minior can also do something there. So
play Minior, guys.
Minior has a lot of hidden utility.
Yeah.
That comes up quite often, and I've been really happy with the card, especially because it just autos your Snorlax matchup. Just makes, which is on the list here. We'll talk about.
We'll talk about that soon.
So Chien-Pao is definitely one of your worst matchups.
Which I'm surprised that Charizard's won more games than it's lost against Chien-Pao, but I think the matchup is just bad because again it presents a one prize option with Greninja, and it presents a one hit KO option.
Yeah. And they can always OHKO you first, but the nice thing is that Chien-Pao sucks, so it doesn't matter.
Because it's inconsistent. You can try to go Lost City, the best calibers.
Well, they only play two backs usually, so that actually probably works. So maybe the matchup's fine, even if you play against it.
Play Lost City.
Entei Valiant, that matchup basically just depends if you set up. You have Jirachi to help turn off Yoga Loop, but still it could be kind of sketchy.
Yeah, once you set up, if
you get the Charizard down, they're probably toasted.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So you kind of just put down like double Charmander and go, okay, let's see what you got. And if they have everything, you go on to lunch or whatever. But yeah.
Yeah.
Lost
Zone is
very good matchup.
Yeah, with Jirachi and Manaphy, you don't really have the possibility of Sableye picking apart your board anymore, and you can just present 3 Charizards and make them go through almost 1,000 hit points, 10 short of 1,000. So that's a lot of hit points.
That's a lot of hit points.
Yeah. Snorlax Stall looks like a 20% matchup
so
here.
Funny. It's so funny. 20% win rate. Minior is a very good card, guys.
Yeah, Minior plus double vacuum. Minior only does 160, so if you vacuum off the Bravery Charms, plus you can Lost City Snorlaxes away. So yeah, with the Minior, the matchup has felt pretty well unlosable in my testing. I don't think anyone else is playing Beach Court except me. So maybe if we're playing Snorlax, listen to the Lost Mind podcast and play Beach Court to counter Minior.
But then they're just gonna go Lost City because you also listen to the Lost Mind podcast.
But if you're playing Charizard against Snorlax, just hold your Super Rod, hold both your vacuums, and hold Lost Cities until you absolutely need to play them to take the knockout, and you should be fine. I don't think you could physically lose if you did it like that.
Goldango. I don't think we need to talk about this.
Yeah,
they just take a knockout. They take a knockout, you respond, they have too much HP to go.
Goldango's just also not a real deck, so that's fine. Lost Box Charizard, I don't know. That's not a matchup I've really tested.
Yeah. We don't really have an educated opinion. We don't have really an educated
and then opinion. Fusion Mew and Mew Genesect are probably the only last real matchups on here that really... I guess Inteleon Urshifu, it would definitely be unfavored because they can just snipe your board away. But I guess if you also set up a Charizard, same thing as Entei Valiant. I'll test the matchup before San Antonio, but...
We will.
And then, yeah, both Mew decks are obviously going to be pretty favored. It's basically just, does Mew Path Judge you, or do you draw out of Path Judge? And you're going to draw out of it more than you're not going to draw out of it. So those matchups are pretty favored.
And then once you set up, you're just going to end up board wiping them. Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
So do you have
anything? So sequencing segment time?
Wait. Do you have any closing thoughts on Charizard?
I think it's great. As we look through, your bad matchups are going to be Chen Pao, and then looks by.
I don't even know if Chen Pao's a bad matchup because of that Lost City double back.
Right, Weekend Lost City, and then Tina. But if you're looking at this whole list here, you only have like 3 questionable matchups. You got a pretty good deck on your hands. I think the main problem historically with Charizard was the Gardevoir matchup, but the Lost Cities really help address that. So
play Lost City, play Minior.
Exactly. I think Minior is less necessary than Lost City, but Minior is definitely something I would be actively playing to an event. And disclaimer, this would be like 15 out of 60 that I'd be playing San Antonio. So if you want real deck lists that real people play to events, listen to the Lost Mind podcast.
Yeesh, dude, you don't got to call out some other pods, man.
I'm not going to call out anyone in specific, but I think there's a lot of people guilty of never posting the lists they actually play, and we're not about that.
Yeah, if you decide to tech for us, then okay.
That's fine.
Okay.
But sequencing segment time,
I would just like to say, play Lost City, and then try Minior. Try Justified Gloves, too. Try Justified Gloves. That card's very good. Okay.
So, sequencing segment this week, we're looking at Mew VMAX. I took these screenshots, so I'll probably be taking a bit of the lead here. And we're playing against each other. Lucas is going to be playing Charizard, so I'm going to show you guys how I would sequence to try and give yourself the best chance against Zard.
Okay. So I'm going to quickly adjust your camera real quick, just so that it makes it easier for people to see. I'm going to put both of us in the middle of the screen. So that it's much easier.
So this hand is not super difficult to think about. So obviously I went and played the VIP pass. I got 2 movies, and then I got the Genesect V on the bench from hand. I played both switch cards to burn them and attach a double turbo to a Mew V before drawing 2 cards.
Yeah. So hand is Genesect, Rope, VIP, double switch card, Lost Vacuum, TT, and the next slide, as you can see, we can see what Lana did was kind of just burn everything but the escape rope and the Lost Vacuum.
Yeah. Reason I didn't play escape rope is because there's a Manaphy and Lucas is active, and I definitely want to play an escape rope to push something important into the active next turn. This matchup is really all about just trying to chase as many Charmanders as you can while also pathing them. You're just trying to keep Charizards off the board because you can only ever deal with 1 Charizard at the most. So that's just your whole strategy. So that's kind of what you'll see me playing towards here.
Yeah.
So I used Fusion Strike System for 2 here.
Yep, and then we got the Ultra Ball and the DTE.
Yeah, so this hand is a little interesting. Like, you want to end the turn, next turn, with a Lost Vacuum and a Path in play, so you can vacuum, draw your cards, continue on with your deck. But here, I played the Ultra Ball, discarding Lost Vacuum Double Turbo, and went and got another Genesect. How do you feel about that play, Lucas?
I think that play's fine, because we play 4 Lost
Vacuum. We play 4 Vacuum. We're going to be able to hit 1 next turn, yeah. We only need 2, maybe 3 DT to win a game, so... And then with this hand, it's pretty tough. I don't really want to Chromatic either the Escape Rope or the Power Tablet away, so I just went attach Forest, Seal to Genesect, attach Choice Belt to Mew V.
Which one did you attach it to?
I attached the Choice Belt to the benched Mew V. It was also questionable just put on the Genesect because I want both my attacking Mews to have a box of Disaster, but definitely did not attach the Choice Belt to active here because Lucas doesn't play any V Pokemon that don't just die to 190 Technoblast because Rotom has 190, Lumineon has 170.
I think choice belting the Genesect would have been slightly better, but it's not the end of the world.
No, because I was thinking like maybe it comes up if you're playing like blind things like Pidgeot V. I also have another movie I'm going to bench this turn most likely, so that one can have the box. And then you see me draw 2 more cards off the next Fusion Strike system.
Current hand being Rope, Chromatic, Double Tablet, Hisuian Heavy Ball.
Yeah, I played the Hisuian Heavy Ball. I knew I didn't prize any Pokemon, so I could have held it for Chromatic next turn. I probably should have just held the Hisuian, but I played it. I think I should have held it, though.
Yeah, I think that's just the one small thing. So we pass the turn, and back on to me. My board is double Charmander, double Pidgey,
Lucas had a pretty good turn 1. So I drew Avery off the top. It's debatable whether I should have dug for a judge here. But Avery was just guaranteed already in my hand. It was quite disruptive. Like, if Lucas didn't have Lucas ended up having a very good hand here, but I would have been able to devastate his board if I got a turn, because I could have wiped the bench, then bossed the second Charmander after I was able to KO the thing he puts up off the rope, and then his board is kind of pitiful. But think about the judge here. Think about the judge for sure.
Yeah, judge is very good, as I have 7 cards in hand.
I think that's just something to talk about Rotom for. Like, if Lucas didn't Rotom here, he'd have 4 cards, and I would be feeling very good about Avery.
Yeah. So I think, the Avery here, I think, is the best play. You kind of just have to hope in this matchup that they just don't have everything.
It's kind of just like pray they don't draw good. You're just doing your best to make sure they don't draw well. But there is a method to the madness to give yourself the best chance, most definitely.
Yes, for sure. So
I played the Avery.
You played the Avery here.
And then we drew Mew VMAX, third Power Tablet, and Box of Disaster. So the end goal of this turn is to get a Path to the Peak, take the knockout on, most likely Lucas Pidgey puts the Pidgey up here, or maybe the Charmander, I don't know, off the rope. But put a path, take a knockout. And it looks like you don't want to burn the Power Tablets here, but you only ever need 2 for the most part to 250 the Zard after the box procs. So I went Chromatic, away a Power Tablet, pay Escape Rope, evolve the benched Mew VMAX with double turbo, attach box to it, draw 3.
Yep. Ending.
The Creme was heads, and I got a Nest Ball from UV. And then we drew 3 fresh cards, which were another Power Tablet, a VIP Pass.
No,
I guess I drew 4.
You drew 4 cards.
4. Okay, 4. So VIP Tablet, Grabber, Path. And then I believe I played Grabber, drew the last card.
Yep, and off of
and then played Path.
Wait, why is this not?
There's no screenshot because we messed it up earlier, but to end the turn, I played Grabber, drew an extra card that didn't really matter, played Path to the Peak, and took the knockout on Charmander. That was the end of the turn. We accomplished the goal of your ideal setup against Charizard with Mew is to have a Box of Disaster, have disrupted their hand, played Path, hopefully a Grabber as well.
Or like we said here, we decided not to disrupt the hand. We decided to Avery.
Yeah, but you want to do some sort of disruption effect. Avery is a disruption effect, plus play Path, and then it's very crucial that you have the box on the Mew VMAX, because if Lucas gets the Charizard here, attacks me, then I can respond with double Power Tablet, attach 250, knock out the Charizard, and maybe Lucas can't establish another Charizard after that, in which case I can start bossing Charmanders and taking the command of the game that way. But
I will say my hand had the assets to go evolve Charizard and Lost Vacuum, so I kind of had everything.
Lucas had like everything. His hand was really broken, but sometimes you just gotta hope that they don't have that. Like Lucas doesn't always have Lost Vacuum plus Stadium plus Candy Zard, but that's why you consider the Judge as well. If Judge was in my hand between Avery and Judge, I probably would have played Judge, but I had the guaranteed Avery, and I would have had to dig for multiple things if I didn't play it.
Yeah, that's fair. So what are your
sequencing segment?
So what are your key takeaways from the sequencing segment, Landon?
My key takeaways from sequencing segment: if you're playing Mew VMAX, you want to disrupt their hand, play the Path, and have the Box of Disaster on your active attacking Mew VMAX
against Charizard specifically.
Against Charizard. So that's what we're preparing today. And that's what you should be thinking about for your turn 2 as the Mew VMAX. That's what you're trying to do. Disrupt them.
Yes.
And the box is crucial. If you whiff the box and they respond, then you have no response to the Charizard, because you can't one-shot it without box procking.
Yep. Okay, so we ready to move on?
Yeah, so we're doing the last half of the episode on deep diving into Mew VMAX, because this is the other deck that both myself and Lucas are considering for San Antonio. I think both these decks have excellent mashup spreads, and it's just kind of deciding which one you want to pick from. But this is our current list. Pretty similar to what I've been talking about the last couple weeks. Notably, I did say I was cutting Avery last week, but I've brought it back in after changing my mind a little bit. I think you need the help into the Guardy matchup, because the Guardy matchup with Avery's, the more I play it, is getting pretty tough. I don't know about you Lucas, but...
Yeah, I think the Avery and Gardevoir, yeesh. I think the Avery and Mew is very good in the multiple bad matchups that it's very much so worth the spot, even though it might be a bit anti-synergy. Just want to quickly point out that we are my head and Landon's head is covering 3 path, 4 DTE, 1 featherball, 1 pal pad.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think the Avery is very worth, as it's another layer of disruption, and you're able to. A lot of your bad matchups are stage 2 decks that are able to force bad prize trades.
Yeah, and Avery can just be disruptive into multiple things. It still has like that negative anti-synergy of discarding Luminions, Squawkabillies, Rotoms when you don't want them to be gone. Like, I would rather those stay in play. But it's kind of needed into the Gardevoir matchup. And it's also very, very good in mirror match with Mew. It's quite devastating, actually, if they have 5 Pokemon in play, because there's only 8 Pokemon total. So you can kind of surprise them.
Palpad Avery.
Yeah, if you can Avery twice in the mirror match, you're probably winning that game, because then your Iono actually is a hand disruption card against them. But I don't think anything's really changed here. Consider maybe third grabber if you want that extra help into the Charizard matchup, but I'm pretty happy to move on to the next list, because we've talked about basically this 59 of 60 like 3 weeks in a row now.
Yeah, but it's very good. So this is Jamie Hindley, 7th place list from Brisbane. We see a few key differences here, being that we play the Professor Turo. We play, in this 60, we play double switch card 1 rope. This 60 plays...
Yeah, that's like flip-flop. They're playing Super Odd here, and only 1 box.
Yeah, and no grabber.
No grabber, yeah. So they've cut the 2 grabber for Turo and Super Rod, and then they are playing 2 Nest Ball over 2 Box of Disaster. I think you absolutely need 2 Box of Disaster. It's very good into Gardevoir, it's very good into Charizard, and it's very good into Roaring Moon. Those are basically your 3 worst matchups as Mew, so I think playing 2 Box is essential at this point.
Yeah.
I kind of consider the Switch Card Escape Rope flip-flop. Just kind of depends what you're feeling that week. I'm not really sure what specific matchups it's going to be better playing 2 Rope. And then the Super Rod is kind of like an adaptation to the increase in Avery counts index. It's just able to help you out there. Plus, if you have like awkward... some games you'll prize like 2 VMAXs and you're kind of screwed, but the Super Rod can bail you out there.
Yeah.
But I think it's mostly to counter Avery.
It's a pretty good card. Yeah, it kind of fixes your problem of that Avery.
Yeah.
And the Super Rod is also just like you said, is very good for like prizing stuff and all of that. I can't English, my bad. So
yeah, not too much. This is like 3 or 4 cards different, so I think double turbo lists are pretty ironed out. I mean, I guess grabber is something that some people aren't playing, obviously, by this, but Turo's also nice. I've played Turo before. It helps obviously heal your Mew Maxes, but also can be a tech into Snorlax. You basically automatically beat Snorlax now with 3 switch cards, Turo plus Palpad, and then Judge Path.
Yeah.
And such, but it also can just let you use another Fusion Strike system if you just need an extra bit of draw, because it can pick up a Genesect and you can use the ability again. So it has a couple of different uses, but I've chose to go against it at this point because Psychic Leap kind of mimics what it does anyways.
Yeah, in a lot of situations it kind of is just a slightly worse Psychic Leap.
Yeah, but I think we can probably move to the next list, eh? Yeah.
So and this is a Fusion Mew Grabber 60. It was Joshua Sparks' 4th place Brisbane 60, and we're seeing that we play the triple grabber, and we also play...
We did look at this list last week, but this is the other version of Mew to be playing. I really prefer the double turbo Mew myself. It's a lot more consistent, but you give up that like early game aggression that Meloetta provides, and then like Block Slider can kind of help pick apart your opponent's board. But
we also see the 1 box in this list.
Yeah, 1 box. I just don't think that the Fusion version really helps into any matchup. Like, it doesn't really make any of your matchups better or worse. It just kind of hedges against Spiritomb, which not many people are playing anyways.
Yeah. By the way,
so
I think Tomb might see a bit of an uptick in play going into...
Oh, totally. I absolutely think that people should be considering Tomb more. I still wouldn't be playing it really any of my decks because I don't think you'll hit enough Mews. But Mew was definitely a lot more popular this past weekend, multiple in top 8s. But it's kind of always more popular in other play areas. North America just doesn't play Mew as much for some reason, but not that they shouldn't. I think they should. Mew is very good right now.
So we are seeing that we have to make some cuts from the 60, and we're seeing that we only play the 1 vacuum. We only played the 2 switch cards.
Yeah.
And what else?
You're sacrificing aggression for disruption with the DTE version, and the disruption just kind of helps your bad matchups more than the aggression does. That that's been my experience playing between the two decks at this point.
This list is also a bit disruptive. You play the triple grabber.
Yeah, you're not playing 3 Path to the Peak. You're not playing 3 Judge. You're not playing 4 Vacuum. You're like, with double turbo, you're so able to proactively Judge plus Path and play grabber at the same time. Whereas this is like, you can path them once.
Yeah, I would cut Town Store for a second path.
Yeah, I definitely think that Meloetta Mew should be playing 2 Path, 2 Vacuum. I'd rather that than grabber. I don't think grabber does really anything without path at the same time. But I think we talked about this list quite extensively last week as well, so I think we can move on to the rest of the...
Yes, stuff. I agree. So this is the matchup spreads again.
Which looks very good for Mew if you look at all these numbers.
Yeah, these are some insanely high numbers.
You have a bad matchup to Mew?
Wait.
Charizard?
Oh my gosh, wait. My bad. Never mind, we're good. I thought I was supposed to put Fusion Mew here, but then I forgot that... Yeah, okay, no. We're good. So this is the DTE Mew build that we're looking at right now.
This is so promising. Like, if you look at this, you have Charizard was a bad matchup, which is obvious. You have Roaring Moon is literally positive on here, which I reflect in my testing as well. I actually don't think Roaring Moon's a bad matchup. Golden Go is irrelevant, and literally there's 3 sub 50% win rates on this whole thing. 2 actually.
Insane.
And one of them is Goldango.
One of them is Goldango. Goldango is not a real deck. The other sub 50 is Charizard. We're taking good matchups into Tina. We're taking a 74%.
Oh, Gardevoir is sub 50.
It is? Oh, yeah, it is. Okay, so your Gardevoir matchup, I think that is I think that it reflects how it actually plays.
I think that is accurate. I don't think the Gardevoir matchup is favored with Mew Genesect right now.
I agree, yeah. They kind of just make a prize trade that's bad for you.
Yeah. The disruption has to work. You're able to boss Curlias, obviously. Play the Avery now. You've got your paths, but if they draw out of the disruption, they usually can get there. But yeah, Charizard is obviously going to be bad. Disrupt them. Tina Lost Box, if they're not playing Spiritomb, you're just able to boss around their Tina Vs. That matchup has not been a struggle at all. Miraidon's an excellent matchup.
Miraidon's a very good matchup. So yeah, I think the Tina matchup is kind of it's pretty favored because they have that one trick. They have the Path and they have the Star Requiem. And if you can get past those, they end up not being able to KO you, and you end up being able to KO them.
Yeah, that matchup is, in my experience, like pretty easy, honestly. You're really able to just boss the Tina Vs. It's not hard to reach with the Choice Belt onto 280 as well if they try to Star Requiem you once, and then you can like Iona them to 3 or Judge them. They're really weak to Judge because Tina's not the most consistent deck. That matchup has just felt fantastic, but Roaring Moon, I guess we've talked about Gardevoir already. You're kind of trying to combine all of these things: Path, Avery, Judge, Box of Disaster, Psychic Leap knocks out bosses on Curlias. You're just trying to be as annoying as possible and make sure they can't execute the game plan they want to execute. But if they do draw what they need to draw and draw out of your disruption, then they're going to beat you for sure.
Yeah. Shout out to the 74% win rate against Chen Pao.
Yeah, that matchup really is funny. So good. So good.
Because they have a hard time knocking you out, and you have a super easy time knocking them out.
Yeah, you're really able to boss Baxcaliburs and Bibarels, whichever one is better at the moment, and you have no problem KOing Chen Pao's as well. Lost Box and Roaring Moon are both good matchups. Like, Roaring Moon under Path and Judge really struggles to set up, especially more than 2 Roaring Moons, and you can KO 2 Roaring Moons with Box plus Power Tablets. So
yeah, Mew Genesect is a very good deck.
Yeah, Lost Zone, you have Psychic Leap plays, Entei Valiant. That matchup is super easy. You just take a bunch of 2-prize knockouts. They can never one-shot you. Goldango's not real.
Goldango's not real.
Intel Urshi is you're just able to one-shot Urshifus. You can kill the basic Vs, and then I did this actually at the Cup I went to last weekend or whenever that was. 4 Power Tablet plus Choice Belt to knock out an Intel VMAX in one shot.
Bonkers.
Snorlax matchup is really good, especially if you're playing Turo, Lost Box Zard. Another good matchup. They're not able to KO you in one shot. And then like you got Mew Mirrors. Obviously, you're gonna be mirror matches. And then Lugia Archeops is pretty good matchup. Not the Lugia, very good either.
You force them path, and then don't sleep on the Cloth matchup, man.
It's also favored. You resist fighting, and you can Psychic Leap. I'm pretty sure Cloth is weak to Psychic, right?
No, I think it's weak to Grass, but it doesn't matter.
But yeah, it doesn't matter. That matchup's irrelevant.
DTE Mew, very, very strong deck.
Yeah, the point of this is to say Mew VMAX has a literal 55.5% win percentage on Limitless, which is incredibly high.
Yeah.
It is a very, very good win rate, and you have two bad matchups on this whole screen.
But
One of them is pretty close, and Charizard is not unwinnable.
And Goldango's not a real deck.
Yeah, Goldango's just not real. Goldango's terrible.
So
yeah, maybe we can move on to the text we had here.
One thing is, I think Charizard. If this deck is gonna get a lot of, bleh. I hope that if this deck gets a lot of attention throughout the week, people are gonna be like, "Oh, okay, I guess we're all just gonna play Charizard now." I think Charizard is a very strong deck into.
It is obviously very strong.
Sorry, I'm so stuck on Charizard, man. Like,
that's okay. Yeah, but okay, the Charizard matchup isn't. Yeah. These are your tech Pokemon, I guess, if you want to call them. Double Turbo Mew obviously can't play very much. I guess we didn't put Dreepy on the screen. That is also a possibility, but I don't think that's really worth playing. Could maybe help Charizard matchups that aren't playing Switch cards, but Luxray has been the traditional Mew tech for Charizard, because you can go like Judge, Grabber, plus Fang Snipe, and path them, and then they're kind of stuck, but you can just attack them instead.
Yeah, you can just attack them instead, and if they set up, you kind of just lose anyway still.
Yeah, like, they can still just draw out of it, and then you only have 5 Fusion Strike Pokemon in play. I think you'd probably have to play a Turo if you're playing Luxray to be able to pick it up and keep drawing cards, because having a non-Fusion Strike Pokemon in play just really limits your draw power. I'm not a huge Luxray fan.
I think Luxray is good. I think if we're playing DTE, I think if I keep testing DTE, I will probably try Luxray at some point.
I don't hate like trying Luxray. I've played it in the past, and it's just like you do the combo, and then if they draw out of it, then you're just gonna lose way harder because you can't draw as many cards.
What if you just put the box on the Luxray though? If you put the box on the Luxray, then it's the same situation, except they also now need boss to get around it.
I don't know. We can try it. I haven't been a huge fan. I think it's dead into literally every other matchup. Starting it feels terrible, and it's not even that strong in the Charizard matchup. Like, it might increase the matchup by like a couple percentage points.
Yeah, true. And then we have the Meloetta and the Ice Cube overlapping each other because this is just the Fusion Strike engine. I think it is not worth it. I think your Disruption is way better than your Aggression. Naturally, with DTE, you're just drawing so many cards.
I agree.
And
you don't need the Aggression if you can go, like, I don't know, plus Path, plus Knockout, and have Boss whenever you want, and Grabber them, Judge early. Like, you can just do whatever you want, really, with Double Turbo Mew. So consistent.
Yeah. I think that it's aggressive, it's cool, it's fun. Yay, Block Slider, Melodious Echo, Ooga Ooga. But, like, I think that your Disruption options are way, way stronger. Your Judge Path Grabber is very good.
Fusion Strike is definitely still, like, Fusion Energies are still good. It's definitely a valid deck. Like, I would not be surprised to also see that in top 8. But if it was me playing Mew, personally, I would totally be playing Double Turbo because the only reason I'd really play Fusion Energies is to counter Spiritomb, but I don't think people are playing that.
In large enough quantities to justify playing Fusion Strike.
Yeah. I would just take my chances against hitting Tomb and just play the stronger version of the deck myself.
Yeah.
But we have our trainer techs here. Not as many as Charizard. Professor Turos we've kind of already talked about. It's going to help you into, like, Lost Zone matchups. It's going to help against Snorlax. It'd be good if you're playing the Luxray V like we just talked about. But most of the time, in my experience, Psychic Leap can just do what Professor Turo would do, because you can, like, boss KO a one-prizer while leaping with a tablet or something along those lines.
Yeah.
And
so, yeah, I think Turos is good, but I am very excited to see. I really want you to explain this TM Devolution. I've heard why it's good, but I want you to explain in depth how this card's good.
Yeah, like, the TM Devo, it's mostly to help with your Charizard matchup. That's been the biggest bane of my existence playing Mew the last couple weeks, is just hitting Charizards that draw good. You can't hate on them, but it's just how it goes sometimes, and I was trying to find different alternate methods to beat that matchup, and Devo can maybe work, because you can attempt to kill the Charmeleon early, so they don't have that option, and then once you Devo them, it just makes them play more candies. So if they've got, like, a Pidgeot out, a candy, maybe they've discarded a candy somewhere, it can do something tricky and maybe lock them out of the game by running them out of candies. And then the list I was trying with TM Devo, I was also playing a Silene to potentially do it twice, because you can put it onto, like, a Genesect or a Mew V to make them take 3 knockouts, because they can't just go through 2 VMAXs. But it just didn't really work out. I know, have you tested it all, Lucas? Like, did you try it yet?
No, I haven't. When I've been running games, I've been playing a lot of Zard.
Yeah,
or, well, not Zard.
I tried it, and they have 4 rare candies, so if they have a Pidgeot and a Charizard active, and you do the TM Devo, they still have 2 candies left. They play another candy, and you try to do it again. They still have their 4th candy, so you're kind of like banking on them, like not knowing you play it, like maybe ultra balling a candy away or like prizing a rare candy. But it's just like it was a gimmick in my experience. But
Yeah,
I've seen people playing it.
Yeah. My reaction when you told me it was, okay, it's a good card in game 1, but then game 2, they're just going to rare candy Charizard attack and not do anything else, and then when they do that again, then they're going to do it again. You could also
think about maybe it deters them from putting a Pidgeot down and makes them easier to disrupt, but I don't think it does enough. A lot of the time I was just like burning it from hand, and I cut Grabbers to play the Devo, and I think Grabber is just a more effective way to disrupt and try and win that way, instead of like... I was more trying to find a way to win if they set up properly, like they're going to if they draw out of the judge, but I think you're just accepting that you're not going to win those games.
Yeah, I think that Devo is cool in theory, but I think after they know you're doing it, then it's just not as good.
Next is Lost City. I more so was just like playing like a one-of to complement, play it as your 4th stadium, because I was finding against like... Tina or any like other path decks that it was kind of stretching your Lost Vacuums a bit, especially into Miraidon, because you want to hold the vacuums for Bravery Charms. It was kind of nice to have like an extra path bump, like a 5th one. And then also like Lost City obviously has like utility into things like Gardevoir or Lost Box, or like maybe Charizard, just like lost on some of their Pokemon. I don't know. That's just a consideration I had. I've seen it in some lists. What do you think about Lost City?
I think it's good, and I think it's good, but most of the time that you're putting a Lost City in play, you just kind of want it to be a path.
Yeah. So that's why I was kind of considering it as like the 61st or 62nd card, but I haven't really put it in my list yet, and it probably wouldn't come before like a Turo or a Super Rod or something like that. And speaking of Super Rod, I kind of like the Super Rod a lot. It might help your Guardy matchup quite a bit.
Yep, and Avery, because it stops them from doing their game plan.
Yeah, when they're playing double Avery, and I know we talked about last week, like only benching 4 Pokemon on purpose to try and play around the Avery, but the Super Rod would make you be able to like fill up your bench and draw the cards that you want to draw. Like you're just cutting your draw power down by benching 4, and it would be really nice to have the Super Rod to kind of just play a little bit more freely, because then you could make it through 2 Averys no problem if you had Super Rod.
Yeah, I like the Super Rod a lot, as it'll, like you said, it allows you to hit the multiple card combos you kind of need in Gardevoir, and it allows you to get your judge in your path, and it's also just never a bad card. Like, I'm never really mad to see a Super Rod. It's a burnable card in most situations, and in the situations that it's...
Yeah, you can cram it away, too.
Yeah. And
I don't think it really does anything into non-Avery decks, but there's definitely more decks than Gardevoir playing Avery. Like, our Charizard list is playing Avery. Not that you're going to be thinking about that as much in that matchup, because you got to deal with the Zards first, but...
Yeah, man. Well, you gotta... It's a 1-2 punch. So, yeah.
Yeah. Avery plus 9. Charizard's got the edge there for sure.
Yeah, but I think that Super Rod is something you should consider if you're building DT Emu. Try it. Try out all these cards if you have the time. But
yeah, this was more like an not an experiment video, but just kind of like taking a look at our 2 favorite decks and kind of our thought processes of things we've been testing to try and address different matchups and problems that we've been seeing come up in our testing. Yeah. And then just kind of talk about cards that have been seeing play and maybe why we do or don't like them. So yeah,
that's kind of what this pod's all about. Offering a different perspective in a way where we're trying to give you the full information of what we believe.
Right. And like I said earlier, these are exact 60s of what I would be considering playing to San Antonio. Same with Lucas. So we're leaking our decks to the public, I guess, if you want to call it that.
Wow. I mean, there might be one point in time where we cook up something.
Yeah, I mean, insane. I just don't think it really matters if you're playing like an established meta deck.
If you're playing an established meta deck, there's no real reason to not show it.
Yeah, just helps people play better decks. And I guess, Lucas, did you have anything else you'd like to talk about?
No, not really. I think that so we've got what we want to talk about.
Yeah, so like next week, look out for, I don't know if we're going to do like meta discussion. Maybe we could even do like a tier list of sorts that we could all kind of like together work on as the 4 of us. But
I think that's actually a fire idea.
Yeah, maybe we could do a tier list next week. Maybe leave a comment below if you'd prefer next week to just be like a meta discussion or do a tier list as well as the meta discussion kind of together.
Yeah.
If we
it wouldn't be like a quick tier list thing. We'd probably talk like for about 5 minutes on every deck.
Yeah, we're trying to stick around, like, I don't know how long this recording was, but an hour 15 is kind of what I've been trying to keep us at.
Right now we're at an hour and 5 minutes roughly.
Oh, sweet. So we're doing totally good for schedule here. But yeah, other than that, please leave a comment below if you want to talk about anything we talked about today, sequencing segment, maybe what you'd have done differently as per usual. We'll always be posting that on Twitter every week now. Also, leave a like, leave a comment.
Give
subscribe.
us a review. Leave us a 5-star review
now.
Now.
I think I yelled into the mic. No, it's pretty good. But yeah, if you are enjoying our content, please show us some support by leaving likes, comments, subscribes, that kind of thing. Share. But other than that, Lucas, who had the outro today? You got the outro, mate. Did I have the outro? Okay, perfect. So you guys have been listening to the Lost Mine Trading Card Game podcast. It's the end of our episode today, so we'll see you next week. Thanks for watching. Bye.